Bishop, we are getting ever so much closer to the most fateful election, certainly of our lifetime. How are you today, Bishop?
I'm doing great, Jason. We are, 7 days out, and this indeed would be the most important election of our lifetime. So we cannot afford to have Joe Biden to be elected. We cannot afford that.
No creepy, sniffing, sleeping, hiding, lying, creepy Uncle Joe.
Yeah, we cannot afford to have him. And the evidence, what we call the preponderance of evidence, is mounting up against the Biden family concerning this laptop. And if they are innocent, Jason, why haven't we seen Hunter Biden and the Biden clan with a slew of lawyers proclaiming their innocence? They're hiding, they're running because they're guilty. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've had some questions about how the laptop came to the public, but the more I think about it, you're right. If there was any impropriety with it, the first thing that they would do is just have a press conference with Hunter Biden or Joe Biden and point out the evidence that indicates that it's not true. But it does seem like there is a lot of extremely damning evidence coming out of that laptop, Bishop. And you and I have been having a lot of conversations about this in the past few days. There have been some truly salacious images, and obviously Hunter Biden is involved in a whole lot of disgusting things. But being disgusting, as long as it's legal, is not the same as these revelations of redirecting money from Chinese investments and Joe Biden trying to hide money flowing into these shell companies and everything. So I'm very interested to see the evidence and the testimony that this Navy veteran, Anthony Bobulinski, is going to present tonight.
Well, Jason, and this guy, Anthony Bobulinski, he went to Penn State, and now we talked about Jerry Sandusky on last week. So this man, this Bobulinski character, he's got damning evidence against Hunter Biden, against Joe Biden, because Joe Biden kept saying during the debate that he had no business dealings with the Ukrainians or the Chinese. Jason, the Biden family is politically compromised. That's why we cannot have them to occupy the White House. Absolutely.
Now, Bishop, you and I have also had a lot of conversations on this show about how the Emmys are suing me. Robert David Steele has sued me. A lot of people suing me. I'm learning a lot about lawyers throughout the process of that. And you know what I realized? Joe Biden actually spoke truthfully during the debate because he selected his words very carefully. He said he never received money from any foreign government. And I do believe that's true. What happened was his son received money from foreign governments. Joe Biden got money from his son.
This violates, Jason, the act going back many decades ago called the Trading with the Enemy Act. This cannot take place in our country. Joe Biden was one of the major backers of this bill long before even Joe Biden was born. This bill goes back into the early 1920s, Trading with the Enemy Act. And one of those countries was not only China, but the Ukraine. But yet, as you so powerfully articulated last week, Joe Biden is using his son as a conduit to make Joe Biden rich. And I won't be surprised if Hunter Biden ends up dead as a pawn in this game. So Joe Biden, he deserves to be in prison because Joe Biden is a traitor and he lied about fracking. He lied, And did you notice after the debate, Kristen Welker kept interrupting Trump during the debate? And anytime the president was about to expose Joe Biden, here comes Kristen Welker talking about race. Or let's talk about race. So sick of that. But, when Trump was exposing Joe Biden was just setting up there lying through his teeth concerning fracking, And so, no, that's why we cannot afford to have this Joe Biden to become the next president of the United States of America.
I agree with you completely, Bishop. And I was thinking a lot about fracking because I spent some time in Louisiana about 10 years ago, and fracking was a big issue over there. I think it really does pollute groundwater and stuff, and there are certainly some questions that I have about fracking. But when I thought about it more, Bishop, I think that the president needs to deal with so many complicated issues. One of the key things that Donald Trump has done that I believe is an economic geopolitical move that is very powerful. And obviously there are trade-offs in these things, but what he's done is he's made the United States not only no longer dependent on foreign energy, we are now the largest exporter of energy in the world. And even though that may have negative environmental impact in the short term, it could have a more positive overall impact in the long term. So it's difficult to look at any one condition and come to any kind of conclusion. Just real quickly on potential things that the Bidens may have done that's illegal. I am going to have Larry Klayman on later today, and we can ask him some legal questions. But there have been accusations that Hunter Biden broke the FARA Act by failing to register as a foreign agent when he was dealing with some of these companies outside of the United States. So there's potentially a litany of very serious federal charges to be raised against Hunter Biden. I am perplexed, Bishop, because we've heard President Donald Trump say he's going to fire the FBI director and potentially even the attorney general. And I agree with both of those statements, but I just want him to do it now. Like, fire William Barr, put in Rudy Giuliani, drop these indictments, and go to lunch.
President Trump should have did this 3.5 years ago. Well, he fired James Comey, but my choice to be the AG was Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor. He's a true patriot, the mayor is. So now, did you see Borat put up a photo of, and again, Jason, I don't care who Rudy sleeps with. And he wasn't even sleeping with this woman. He was just checking the mic within his coat. But this is how the deep state does. They're sick and they're running out of ammunition. Did you hear Kamala Harris say, I believe it was yesterday or day before, are we in Cleveland? Okay, she didn't know that she was in Cleveland. Jason, these individuals don't know what the heck they are doing. And this is the reason why we are being exposed to this other corruption. And you and I had talked about this last night. It seems like the Chinese are releasing these tapes and being connected to the Ministry of State Security. Very interesting times that we're living in.
Yeah, and I'm very cautious about this evidence of, we see a mix of Hunter Biden by himself naked with women that, the videos that I've seen, we can't tell who these women are, what their age is. He's obviously engaged in sex with them. He's smoking something. And the thing I want people to be cautious of, Bishop, is that whatever we think about the morality of these acts that are depicted, if they aren't specifically illegal, they're not that important because, we see him smoking something. Well, if he's in California, if he's smoking marijuana, whatever people think about that, it's legal. So I just don't want people to get distracted by these salacious details when we've got important evidence like Tony Bobulinski, and there's just been a recording that's come out really just a few minutes, I think, before we went live here, where it's Hunter Biden actually talking about doing business with these, Chinese intelligence agencies and really potentially damning information. So I just want to make sure that people don't get distracted by that stuff, because it seems to me, Bishop, they like to do that with things like Pizzagate and the 17th letter of the alphabet. They get everybody to focus their attention on something, then they crush that something and then say, see, everybody who is paying attention to that is stupid or a conspiracy theorist or whatever. So I don't want people to fall into that trap.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we have to go by the facts, that which is factual. Now, as a side note, I'm going to get into later on, Jason, concerning the wife of Joe Biden, Jill Biden, whose maiden name is Jacobs, okay? And her bloodline was connected to the Max Frank bloodline. that later produced a young man by the name of Leo Max Frank, who was accused in the early part of the 1900s of raping a young white girl by the name of Mary Fagan, which was never to be proven to be true. But at the time, this Dr. Joe Biden, whose married name is Stevenson, so she was married to a man by the name of Bill Stevenson, who said on record, Jason, that Joe Biden, when he was married to Nelia Hunter Biden, was having an extramarital affair with now Jill Biden, who was formerly Jill Jacob Stevenson. So Bill Stevenson and Joe Biden were supposed to be great friends, and the Stevenson were helping Joe Biden in his run to be to be the senator of the great state of Delaware in 1972. But she was hired by Joe the year before in 71 to be the nanny for the Biden children, and she had committed adultery. But the thing is, Jason, like you said a minute ago, that is not only the most critical thing. The most critical thing is this. Joe Biden and Jill Biden has been lying for the past 40, 45, 47 years as to the timeline when they got married, Jason. Because according to Joe and Jill Biden, they got married in 1977.
Yeah.
But according to the Wilmington, Delaware records, as far as the date of their marriage certificate and their marriage license, they were married on the 20th of December, 1972.
Really?
Which is 2 days after the death of Nelia Hunter Biden.
Whoa.
Now, I'm not saying, Jason, that getting married to a woman 2 days after your wife died is a crime. Here's the problem. It's the timeline. Why are they lying about as to the timeline when they got married? They did not get married on the 17th of June of 1977. They got married on the 20th of December in 1972, 2 days after the death of Joe Biden's first wife, including his daughter, Naomi. Wow. Jason, these are devils that we're dealing with here today. I'm so excited that you and I are going to be talking about this today. So these are the things that must be discussed. Absolutely.
Now, you've just reminded me of something I wanted to ask you about, Bishop, because the first wife of Joe Biden, this woman, Nelia Hunter, I just found it so interesting that their son took the name, his first name was her last name. Originally, I thought it was some kind of a joke, like bow and hunter. You might go hunting with a bow and arrow. I just thought he was a dope and he named his sons, stupid. But the fact that the son takes the name, this is something we've seen the Bush family do, because the Harrimans, the Avrils, whatever, they're marrying these people, and then the last name of a family that they marry into becomes the first name of the descendants. What is that all about? Is that a religious thing? Is that a...
It's all a part of them intermarrying into the bloodline. Some weeks ago, you and I talked about the Wasserman bloodline and the Flagerheimer bloodline and the Rothschild bloodline. Now, according to my studies, I'm glad that you brought this up, Jason. The bloodline of the Bushes goes back into the 1500s, Jason. Into Staffordshire, England, including in the nation of Scotland in the early 1500s. So the original name of the Bushes was not called the Bushes. They were called the Talismans.
Whoa!
I kid you not, capital Talisman.
Isn't that witchcraft?
It's witchcraft. Absolutely. Oh my God, you hit a nerve with me, Jason. So the talismans, or that term, the word talismans, is connected to witchcraft and divination. So, which produced a man by the name of Abraham Talisman, in the 1800s, who then immigrated to Germany, Jason, in the mid 1800s. And the Talismans changed their name from Talisman to Scherf, to the Scherf family, capital Scherf, in Bavaria, Germany, which is the origination or the location of the Illuminati going back to 1776. And then from the Scherf family, capital Scherf, they add an extra F for Scherf with two Fs later in the late 1800s. And thereby, before World War I, they changed their name from Scherf to Bush. Now, according to Otto Skorzeny, a high-ranking Nazi who was the bodyguard for Adolf Hitler, he said in an affidavit right before his death in 1999 that the 41st president of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, was of the Scherf bloodline, who knew Martin Bormann, who knew Reinhard Gehlen, and who knew Joseph Mengele, who later became the Doctor of Death. And then the Bush bloodline, in the early part of the 1900s, they intermarry into the Wolferson bloodline, which produced the bloodline of the Wolfowitz bloodline, which then produced Paul Wolfowitz, who was the president of the World Bank during the Bush administration, Bush II. So when you hit a nerve with me, Jason, concerning this Nelia Hunter Biden and then Hunter Biden, so the Talismans, the Scherfs, the Bushes, the Wolfersons, the Wolfowitz, they're all related by blood in this historical global cabal. Jason, this is demonic. And according to Otto Skorzeny, in an affidavit on his deathbed, he said that the Bush family, their real name is the Scherf family, a blood Germanic dynasty out of Bavaria, Germany. Jason, this is mind-blowing information. Excellent link there, Jason. So the Skorzeny son, and matter of fact, Otto Skorzeny was acquitted. He was acquitted at the Nuremberg trial. So that's something we got to absolutely. He spilled the beans on the Bush global bloodline. Powerful information, Jason.
Well, and you know, Bishop, there's one other question that comes to mind when talking about the Bush bloodline. I don't know if this is true, but there's rumors around the internet that Barbara Bush is directly descendant from Aleister Crowley, the Thelema guy.
And you and I had talked about that some months ago, you know, and similar features. Absolutely. Yep. Aleister Crowley, you talking about divinational witchcraft, talisman. So he was a talisman as well, you know, the creator of the Theosophical Secret Society in connection to Elena Blavatsky of the Thelema Secret Society. So these devils intermarry into each other's blood. And that's why many dynastic families, and I would love to do a series with you one day, Jason, concerning the origins of the global royal dynastic bloodlines. Many of their children today are suffering from all types of blood diseases. Okay, they're hemophiliacs because they have married into each other's blood through incest. So that's something to think about. Absolutely.
Wow. And you know, before we get underway with today's presentation, Bishop, it's important that we remind everybody they can follow you on Twitter at Bishop L. Gators. They can listen to you on iHeartRadio and also your new WOR 710 AM syndicated radio broadcast. People can also support you, Bishop, in your global spiritual revolution by going to paypal.me/GSRR Media Group. And they can support this show by going to subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth or patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. And you've prepared a comprehensive presentation for us today, Bishop. We're going to be talking about the House of Cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family. And I also want to remind people that they can catch simulcasts of our broadcasts together, not only on the Jason Goodman YouTube channel and the Crowdsource The Truth 2 YouTube channel, but on the Global Spiritual Revolution Radio and Media Group YouTube channel. I want to thank the over 850 people that are watching us there right now, and remind viewers, if they aren't yet subscribed to the Bishop's channel, make your way over there. He's got a lot of content that is exclusive to his channel, in addition to the simulcasts of our shows here.
Jason, I'm so excited to be talking about this House of Cards, the coming fall of the Biden Crime Family Volume 2. Now, just to give a little repeat of what you and I had talked about last week concerning Dr. Johannes Kepler, right? The 17th century German mathematician who had designed what they called the Kepler conjecture, which is a theorem stating that there is a global pattern of world history that has now become the global dispattern of corruption through politics. So this is called the Dr. Johannes Kepler conjecture, or better known as the Kepler conjecture, which is a global theorem that there is a set global pattern of history that has become the dispattern of dysfunctionality because of corruption, in connection to a book called Mysterium Cosmos Graphicum. Again, Mysterium Cosmos Graphicum, which was published in 1597, with this second edition in 1621. In other words, this global pattern of corruption, because of what they call the theorem of policy, or polity, or polite, which is politics. So the very origin or the origination of the term politics is to be polite. Now, what we are witnessing in Washington, D.C. is anything but polite. And then you and I talked about the bloodline of the Robinette bloodline being connected to the Biden bloodline going back to the 1600s. Now, before I begin to dissect that, let's start in 1972. Now, in 1972, Joe Biden is financially supported by a deep state banker, okay, a Pakistani by the name of Agha Hassan Abidi, capital A-G-H-A Hassan Abidi. He created the most notorious bank in human history, the BCCI Bank, which is now defunct, the Bank of Credit and Commercial International, which is portrayed in the 2009 movie, The International, with Clive Owen. So then the BCCI Bank, in connection to the political rise of one Joseph Robinette Biden, is paid with corrupted blood money. Now, why do I say that? Because the BCCI Bank, which housed billions of dollars of drug money from drug kingpins and drug cartels all over the world, and especially throughout Central and South America, including most of the intelligence agencies on the face of the earth, the Central Intelligence Agency, the NSA, the KGB, which is now the FSB, Russian intelligence, the South Korean intelligence of the NIS, the National Intelligence Services, including North Korean money through North Korean intelligence, in connection to Pakistani intelligence, in the Ministry of State Security, which is the Chinese equivalent of the American CIA. So Joe Biden in 1972 got his money from a corrupted billionaire banker, Hassan Abidi, who also was highly connected to the Vatican Bank, Jason. So then the BCCI Bank, which was located in Luxembourg with sister offices all over the world, in Karachi, Pakistan, London, England, including Riga, Latvia. And one of the branches today that survived that scandal is a branch in Riga, Latvia by the name of the Baltic International Bank, which is a CIA creation. I'll come back to that later on in connection to Joe Biden. So then Joe Biden got his financial start in 1972 to a financial killer, a man by the name of Hassan Abidi. Now, Jason, what is more interesting that you and I had talked about a minute ago concerning Nelia Hunter Biden? Now, I'm not castigating any aspersions upon Dr. Jill Biden. My job is just to present the facts, and it's up for your people to come up with the proper conclusion. So then Nelia Hunter Biden was killed in an automobile accident on the 18th of December, 1972, okay, where their infant daughter, Naomi, was killed. Now, Bo Biden and little Hunter Biden was also in the car. They were critically injured. And I believe, Jason, not to give Hunter Biden a pass, but most of his trauma and his pain that he is self-inflicting upon himself, I believe was rooted in that 1972 death of his mother, Nelia Hunter Biden. Now, during this time, there is a nanny who works for the Biden family. Her name was Jill Jacobs Stevenson, the wife of Bill Stevenson. Now, the Guardian newspaper had interviewed Bill Stevenson a few years ago concerning Dr. Jill Biden. Now, Jill Biden, who was a former nanny for little Hunter and Bo, had an extramarital relationship with Joe Biden when Joe Biden was married to Nelia Hunter Biden. And Joe Biden was cheating on Nelia Hunter Biden. And Jill Jacob Stevenson was cheating on Bill Stevenson, who was at the time the best friend of Joseph Robinette Biden and helping him in his 1972 run for the Senate, representing the great state of Delaware. So when we're talking about this house of cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family, we also have to look at the death of Nelia Hunter. Now, Jason, I'm going to say this. I don't have any proof. You know me, I'm a historian, but this is my perspective. I believe that Nelia Hunter Biden was a sacrifice in order for Joe Biden to rise politically, okay? So Jill Jacobs, okay, her bloodline, Jason, goes back also to Bavaria, Germany, including to the Jacob family out of Scotland. But the original name of the Jacobs, okay, was the Max Frank family out of Britain, Scotland, and Poland. Now, I'm not castigating Jill Biden. My job is to connect the dots so that your people, your powerful listeners, can come up with the proper conclusion. So according to Jill Biden's ex-husband, Bill Stevenson, that the bloodline of Jill Jacobs goes back in the 1700s to the Max Frank bloodline, which eventually, Jason, produced a man by the name of Frank Max, Leo Max Frank. Now, if you notice the political and the legal story of Leo Max Frank, he was accused in the early parts of the 1900s in Atlanta, Georgia. He worked for the National Pencil Company in Atlanta, and Mr. Frank was accused of raping and killing a 13, 14-year-old girl, okay, by the name of Mary Fagan. Now, according to the authorities, okay, there in Atlanta, Georgia, this Leo Max Frank, who is a blood progenitor that would produce the Jacobs family, okay, who also changed their name to Jacobson. This has nothing to do with Jewish people. There you go, Jason. So Leo Frank Max Frank, whose bloodline goes back to Poland under the Prussian Empire, including England and Scotland, would later be hanged, Jason, because according to authorities, and we can't prove this, that according to the authorities in Atlanta, this young man, Leo Max Frank, had raped this girl, 13-year-old girl, and put the girl's body in the basement of the National Pinto Company, which at the time was the working area of a Black janitor by the name of John Conley. Now, Mr. Frank had blamed John Conley for the rape and murder of this young woman. But Mr. Conley was not at work on the morning that this young woman was found dead. So then Leo Max Frank was eventually hung. Okay. Now, besides that, why do I bring him up in concerning the Biden family? So he is a blood progenitor that would produce the Jacobs along the line of Jill Jacobs today, when we're talking about the coming fall of the Biden crime family. So Jill Jacobs, who had committed adultery, now, like you said, Jason, concerning Hunter, okay, now that is an illegal offense in the eyes of God, but in the eyes of natural law, it's not. That's part of the problem. But the other part of the problem is the timeline when they got married, Jason. Joe Biden and Jill Biden have been lying for the past 45 to 47 years as to the timeline when they got married. Now, we are told by Joe and Jill Biden that they were married in June, during the month of June, 1977. But according to public records there at the county courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, they were married 2 days after the death of Nelia Hunter Biden.
Can we
on the 20th of December,
record,
1972.
Bishop? Can that be
What's
downloaded? That record of them
Yes.
getting married? Oh, where can I find
Absolutely. You can go to the Wilmington, Delaware record office, okay, as far as marriage license and certificates, okay? Definitely, I will send you that information after the program. And now, I'm not, Jason, listen, I'm not castigating the life of Jill Biden and saying that she's a whore. What I am saying, Jason, here's the problem. The problem, you're making me laugh here. The problem is the timeline. Why would you lie about that? Now it brings up other questions concerning what really happened to Nelia Hunter Biden on the 18th of December, 1972. Now, Jason, you and I had talked about a man some months ago. This man is a master spy connected to the Biden family. His name is Joseph Coffer Black. During the month of February 2017, Joseph Coffer Black, who is a former CIA counterintelligence officer from 1999 to 2002, and he was also the ambassador at large for the counterterrorism unit of the CIA. Wow. From 2002 to 2004. Man, I love teaching. So Joseph Coffer Black, whose specialty, Jason, is in counterterrorism, cybersecurity, national security, and foreign affairs, including hacking laptops and computers. Hunter Biden. So in dealing with Middle Eastern and African affairs, this Joseph Coffer Black, who was once a lobbyist, represented the CIA in connection to the Biden family, was also the vice chairman of the Blackwater Group concerning the Blackwater and the Whitewater scandals of the 80s and 90s in connection to Bonnie and Clyde, Bill and Hillary Clinton. So Joseph Coffer Black was Mitt Romney's 2011 National Security Advisor when Mitt Romney was running for the presidency. in 2011. Joseph Crawford Black sat on the executive board of Bain Capital, the former company that Mitt Romney founded. Now, Bain Capital has billions of dollars around the world in foreign banks, beginning at the Baltic International Bank out of Riga, Latvia. Now, as I said 10 to 15 minutes ago, the BCCI Bank, one of their banks that is still surviving today, is the Baltic International Bank in Riga, Latvia. Well, this Joseph Crawford Black is a member of the supervisory board for a CIA bank, the Baltic International Bank, which also has millions of dollars of Biden money. So as we're talking about this cabal, this crime syndicate, and I have to confess, Jason, I thought Bonnie and Clyde, Bill and Hillary Clinton were the worst politicians in American history. It's Joe Biden, Beau Biden, and concerning Hunter Biden, concerning the coming fall of the Biden crime family. Now, Beau Biden created a foundation called the Beau Biden Foundation for the protection of children. Now, you brought up so powerfully last week, it was Louis Freeh, former director of the FBI, who sat on the executive board for the protection of children. Louis Freeh was the individual who was investigating Jerry Sandusky. Now, Jason, the Barack Obama administration, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and Beau Biden visited Penn State University in 2008, 09, and 2011. Excellent link there, Jason. Now, 1 month before the outbreak of the Jerry Sandusky scandal in October 2011, which the following month, Penn State was exposed in November 2011. It was the Biden family who sat on a foundation called the Second Mile Foundation, okay? Now, why is that so important? Because Jerry Sandusky created this foundation going back to 1993 as a front for child raping of young men and child trafficking. So this is the reason why Joe Biden wants Jerry Sandusky out of prison, because of what Jerry Sandusky knows about Joe Biden. So Joe Biden, James Biden, the younger brother of Joe, and then the Biden brothers with Beau and Hunter sat on the executive board. Now, Jason, all of the Bidens, Joe, James, Beau, and Hunter, left that board in January of 2011, okay, months before the outbreak of the scandal. Why? Because they knew what was coming down the pike. As we're talking about this crime family called the House of Cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family.
Sorry, Bishop,
so
you're saying
Biden,
Sandusky was involved with the Beau Biden Foundation, or did I miss the name of the foundation?
Yes, they were both. Actually, not only was Jerry Sandusky, he sat on the Beau Biden Foundation prior to 2011, but also Joe Biden, James Biden, and Hunter Biden and Beau Biden sat on the Second Mile board, okay, up until January of 2011. Why would they leave the board months before the outbreak of the scandal involving Joe Paterno for covering up the crimes of Jerry Sandusky? Because Joe Biden knew the hammer was coming down. Now, Joe Biden wants Jerry Sandusky out of prison, including a man by the name of Robert Allen Stanford. We'll talk about him in the next half hour. So Joe Biden, along with John Kerry, led the Foreign Relations Committee board within the Senate, and Joe Biden was the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And why is that so important? Joe Biden covered up his complicit connection to the BCCI scandal. So Joe Biden squashed that investigation, at least from the American side, because Joe Biden had committed a crime in violating Trading with the Enemy Act, Jason, going back to the early 1900s. So Joe Biden, who is the most corrupt politician in modern American history, has squashed the investigation. There you go, Jason, in that 1917 Trading with the Enemy Act, which was amended another 2 to 3 times by who? Joe Biden through the Senate. So that Joe Biden had millions of dollars with the BCCI Bank because Joe Biden, John Kerry, including the late John Philip McCain, sold weapons on the black market as early as 1973, Jason. As we're talking about this house of cards on the coming fall of the Biden crime family. Excellent link there, Jason.
Not to interrupt, Bishop, but what you're telling us here, it immediately causes me to think about Iran-Contra, because BCCI, I think we're going to get to that, right? And we've also seen...
Get to that. Oh, Jason, you're so smart,
this is
brother.
important.
You know where I'm going.
Yeah, because we've seen this picture of Joe Biden together with William Barr, the current Attorney General, who at his own swearing-in hearing or confirmation hearing, he said that he had been the outside counsel to the CIA. Now, to somebody just tuning in, well, that just sounds like maybe somebody giving some advice to the CIA. But outside counsel means he was an attorney for the CIA.
See, exactly. In other words, this is the reason why AG Barr must be fired. Okay, he has done nothing to assist Donald Trump in bringing the swamp, into legal justice. That's why he has to fire these people now, not after the election, Jason, as we're talking about this house of cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family. Excellent link there, Jason. So Joe Biden and John Kerry were heavily connected to the BCCI scandal, also for money laundering. Now coming to the Contras of the 1980s. Joe Biden, being the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, was connected with the agency in the distribution of crack cocaine into America. He made millions of dollars, Jason. Nancy Pelosi made millions of dollars. Chuck Schumer, all of these devils made millions of dollars, including the Bushes, because of the Iran-Contra affair, where the agency had funneled cocaine, crack cocaine, into South Central LA with the knowledge of Uncle Joe sniffing Biden, whereas Black America was almost destroyed and neutralized because of the crack cocaine epidemic. Joe Biden was responsible for that crime because Joe Biden was also heavily tied to the Central Intelligence Agency, being the chairman, Jason, of the Foreign Relations Committee. So then, getting back to Hunter Biden. Now, Jason, this gets more deeper here as we're talking about the house of cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family. Now, here was a man, an attorney by the name of David Cohen, capital Cohen, laying the foundation concerning the political ley line life of Joe Biden. So David Cohen, from 2015 to 2017, was the former deputy director of the Central Intelligence Agency and the supervisor of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network within the agency, is now a law partner with the William Wilmer Hale law firm.
Oh
Again,
boy.
David Cohen
Robert
is a
Mueller's law
partner,
firm.
the Wilmer Hale law firm, which also, Jason, had another attorney by the name of David Hale, who is a former Arkansas municipal judge and former Arkansas banker, who was pressured by Bill Clinton to provide a $300,000 loan to Susan McDougal, who fell on the sword for Hillary Clinton. Yes, so Robert Mueller is involved in this. And this character, this attorney, David Cohen, who was the former deputy director of the CIA and the supervisor of the Financial Crimes Enforcement Unit in the agency. There you go, Jason. From 2015 to 2017, he also sits on the executive board of Bain Capital, including, Jason, the Lothian Commercial Bank in Riga, Latvia, that's connected to the Baltic International Bank. Now, what does Joe Biden have to do with this? Because Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, is married, Jason, to the niece of David Cohen, Melissa Cohen.
Oh, right. But they just got married, and she's beautiful, and he's a crackhead with babies with every stripper in the world, and his sister-in-law.
And denying the truth. That's right. So Hunter Biden is not in love with Melissa Cohen.
That's so they can't testify against each other or something.
That's right. She's just a prop to hide the crimes of Hunter Biden.
Now she's
Melissa Cohen is, that's right. She's innocent, but she is a pawn in this game to cover up the sexual escapades, okay, the sexual crimes of Hunter Biden. Melissa Cohen is innocent in this situation, but she's related to the former deputy director of the CIA, David Cohen, who is also a connection, a fixer for Joe Biden as far as hiding Biden corrupted money all over the world. So Joe Biden connected to Joseph Coffer Black, connected to David Cohen, whose niece, Melissa Cohen, is the wife of Hunter Biden.
Whoa.
Now this attorney, David Cohen, is an attorney at the Wilmer Hale law firm, Jason. And it gets deeper here as we're talking about the coming fall of the Biden crime family. So the Wilmer Hale law firm is then connected to David Hale, an attorney who is the former Arkansas municipal judge and the former Arkansas banker, who was pressured by Bill Clinton to provide a $300,000 loan to Susan McDougal, including Jim McDougal, her husband, in order to financially subsidize the Whitewater deal.
Yes.
So then Susan McDougal fell on her sword and then served some time in prison because covering up for the crimes of this Bonnie and Clyde teen Bill and Hillary Clinton. As we're talking about this house of cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family. And Jason, it gets deeper here. Now, Jason, I'm going to say something about the 17th letter of the alphabet, okay? Now, I want to reveal this in connection to Joe Biden. When we're talking about the house of cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family. Now, people have been asking me, Jason, for the past year, Bishop, when did the Q movement begin? So the Q movement was not created by John F. Kennedy.
No, definitely
Q
not.
actually began on the 1st, Jason, of April in the year of 1860, okay?
Wait a second, Bishop. Before we get into anything about this, This is
Yes,
like,
please.
they don't want people talking about it. I object to that, but I don't want this channel to get a strike for talking about 17th letter of the alphabet, because
Yeah. I understand that, and you know, so I definitely don't want your page to be taken down. But I just want to say concerning that 17th letter, yes,
yeah.
instead of saying the letter,
Yeah.
but the 17th letter, yes, it began on the 1st of April 1860 through three generals, okay? Major General George McClellan, Major General Henry Halleck, and Major General Winfield Scott, and another 22 other generals. So the 17th letter was designed to protect American sovereignty, okay, in order to protect the first Constitution. George M. McClellan, capital MCC Lellan, then Major General Henry W. Halleck, capital Halleck, and Major General Winfield Scott and 22 other generals had exposed two deep state Rothschild generals, Ulysses S. Grant, who went on to be the president of the United States of America, who had sold out to the international bankers through the 1871 Act that you and I have talked about so many times, that forced the United States to become the United Corporation of America by designing a second constitution. So Ulysses S. Grant was pressured by the Vatican, right? Pope Pius IX, including the Rothschilds in Eastern, Central, and Western Europe, to force the United States to leave the first constitution as a Christian constitutional republic to become a corporation, okay? Another deep state general, along with Ulysses S. Grant, was John Pope. You can see many pictures of him with his right hand inside of his jacket pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And along with these generals, Jason, in history, now I know that you know not to get away from the Biden crime family, but this is the reason why the 17th letter is trying to destroy Joe Biden, and rightfully so. And I want to use wisdom because I don't want to pronounce that letter. So remember General Smedley Butler.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes, a great patriot who was a 17th letter general. In 1933, he had exposed, excellent link there, Jason. This 17th letter general had exposed the business plot conspiracy, where there was a global cabal of bankers and industrialists who wanted to overtake the United States of America and thereby force President FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to abdicate his presidency in 1933. But the 17th letter general had exposed this coup d'etat to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Excellent link there, Jason. Okay, as we're talking about this house of cards, the coming fall of the Biden crime family. Excellent, Jason. So there is a word besides tyranny, and this word is called despotism. Despotism, capital Despotism. It means the exercise of absolute political power. So Smedley Butler, a patriot who should have a statue in Washington, D.C., he was a 17th letter general who had exposed the plot. Now, according to a lot of political scientists, Jason, they believe that Smedley Butler was poisoned, okay, on the 21st of June in 1940 at the Naval Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but we have no proof of that. Now, as we move forward from Smedley Butler, okay, now you have three other 17th letter generals who had exposed the deep state, which will later produce a Joseph Robinette Biden in 1972. Now, you know, General George S. Patton was a 17th letter unknown general, okay? Then General Douglas MacArthur, who had exposed the deep state presidency of Harry S. Truman. It was the deep state that forced President Truman, give him hell, Harry, to create the atom and the hydrogen bomb. Excellent picture there, Jason. Douglas MacArthur is a patriot, a 17th letter patriot who exposed the presidency of Harry S. Truman, who later would go on to win a second term through a fraudulent voting system, okay, in which the governor of New York should have won that election. Another topic for another day.
Was that Dewey? That whole Dewey
yes, governor. That's right. So Dewey was set to be the president of the United States, but it was these jackals in the Truman administration whom Douglas MacArthur was exposing that stole the election, okay? Then there's a third 17th letter. Excellent picture there, Jason. There's a third 17th letter general by the name of Dwight D. Eisenhower. Now, with that picture there, Dewey defeats Truman. Governor Dewey was set to be the next president. It was Governor Dewey who had brought down the mob here in New York City, right, in the late 30s, early 40s, beginning with Lucky Luciano, another topic for another day. So then Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was a 4 to 5-star general, who was a 17th letter general as a 4-star general, became the president of the United States for America in 1952 to 1960. Now, in his last address, Jason, you know where I'm going with this, on the 17th of January, 1961, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
The 17th of January.
Yes. Oh, the 17th of January, 1961, before what, 4 days before JFK took office, I believe 3 to 4 days later. So the military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower was warning JFK that there are deep staters that you have chosen, John F. Kennedy, to be on through working for your administration, which later these jackals helped to take out John F. Kennedy on the 22nd of November in Dealey Plaza in 1963. So then we come from Eisenhower, we go to a man by the name of Senator Joseph McCarthy. So Senator Joseph McCarthy was a 17th letter senator. I personally believe, Jason, that McCarthy was a patriot. He served as the senator of the great state of Wisconsin from 1947 to 1957, whereas he exposed the Hollywood 10, Jason. Okay? He exposed the Hollywood 10 on the 25th of November, 1947, where the Communist Party, USA, being connected to the Soviet Union, had taken over the Hollywood movie and entertainment industrial complex. Excellent picture there, Jason.
Whoa, Bishop.
Joseph McCarthy.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go right ahead.
But Mel Chapman also points out 1961, you add up all those numbers, it also equals 17.
Oh, my. Repeat that again, Jason. That's
Mel Chapman in the comments, 1 plus 9, 1961. 1 plus 9 is 10. 6 plus 1 is 7. It's 17. It's a coincidence.
Jason,
but
that's not by accident. Oh, my God. Jason,